Artificial intelligence is coming to the education industry just like every other industry, and that certainly includes CFA exam test preparation providers, and that certainly includes CFA exam prep. I've been learning about and using some of these AI-based CFA exam prep tools, and that is how good the artificial intelligence computer program is at actually understanding what areas a certain person's brain is weak in and actually helping them learn the information that's going to ultimately give them knowledge that they need to answer questions correctly, rather than just feeding them questions that they've answered incorrectly. Depending on how good it is, it may completely shift. And depending on how good these AI models are at actually teaching people new things, actually understanding what information or what questions need to be given to someone to help them really improve in the areas that they're weak in, is going to determine whether or not AI education programs are like running the whole world in 3 years from now. They may be amazing, and the CFA exam prep world may totally shift in a couple or a few years, or they may be more of a gimmick and people actually just prefer to continue to read text in books or like through online study lessons, and no one's really going to adopt. I'm really interested to see which way this thing goes. I'm also curious to hear about if anyone watching this video has used any AI-based learning tools before, if you would consider using an AI-based CFA exam learning tool. And I also have heard rumors that there is a text-based AI platform solely focused or solely informed with the curriculum from the CFA program that you'd just be able to ask questions to, sort of like a live tutor service. I've heard that that type of thing is in the works. I don't know if it actually exists yet or not. No idea on how good it will be or won't be. But my point is that there are different ways that AI is going to make an entrance into the exam preparation, the education industry as a whole, and of course I'll be following it as it pertains to CFA prep on this channel. The AI-based CFA exam prep program that I've played around with so far has a set list of things that they believe an AI-based program can do better than a human tutor, specifically at like getting beneath the hood, learning about what it is any one person's brain needs to really learn, and then directing them in that way. One difference is a lot of these concepts too are based on some learning psychology research that I haven't seen myself, but one of them is algorithmic learning versus contrast linear learning, where algorithmic learning is a more advanced way of asking people questions when the computer program asking those questions already understands everything that they're going to get right. In theory, you would just waste less time doing practice questions that you're already going to know the answer to, and you're just going to be focusing on the ones where you really need to improve. But it's very important for the app to actually know what's best for you. You can't just simply see which questions you got wrong and then practice those over and over. The app actually has to understand the ways in which your brain learns, and I think that might be the most tricky part of all this. And then it can prescribe to you the correct questions or the reading that your brain is going to need to go through in order to finally understand a concept, and then it would quiz you on that concept later and see if you've learned it. It's an interesting idea. One area that this could help a lot is one area that I think there are two big avenues in which this type of a program could add a lot of efficiencies to CFA exam candidates. The second one that I'll discuss is one that I'm really big on and that I advocate for on this channel, which is the amount of hours spent studying. But let's start with the question I think I get more often in comments on videos of this channel, which is, hey, what section should I study next? I've never had great advice for anyone in this area, because when I was a CFA exam candidate for all three levels, I just studied each book in chronological order as they were written out in the what was called the CBOC at the time, body of knowledge. People make arguments all the time that based on the information in certain sections, it'd be much more advantageous for a candidate to go through certain chapters before the others, certain books before the others. I think a common one for level 1 was some people would tell me, well, AJ, you should tell people to do equity before economics. I did it the other way around. Anyway, if you have an AI tool that really understands how you learn, that tool theoretically should know whether or not your brain's going to do best getting introduced to some information before other information, and it would actually be able to tailor the order in which you would progress through the questions. It would be able to tell you what chapter you should study tomorrow, next week. It would be able to tell you when should you be doing practice questions and which questions are you going to be doing based on what you've done. And if all that worked the way that I think an AI advocate would hope that they do, that might be extremely helpful. And then the other area where this could add a lot of efficiency is the total hours spent studying. And if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I don't subscribe at all to the 300-hour rule. I say you're still probably unlikely to pass all the exams if you study 400 hours for each exam. I tell people to shoot for around 500 or more, certainly for the level 2 and level 3 exams. And basically the reason I say that is because you need as much repetition as possible to get exposure to all the information that you need to get exposure to. And the only way to get a whole lot more repetition is to do a whole lot more hours. It's just time. It's, as simple as that. And that is I'll say effective, I still believe it's a very effective approach, and a very inefficient approach, because as you continue to do blocks of 20 to 30 to 40 practice questions at a time, as you've prepared throughout the months for a CFA exam, you're gonna know more and more and more of the info, especially in the last, what I would say is the last 4 to 6 weeks, really the review period. You're gonna be, getting a lot of practice questions right. If you're not, you're gonna struggle in the exam, but you probably are getting some right. And, taking questions over and over and over again on concepts that you've already grasped and you've already answered right about several times is not the most efficient thing to do. So if an AI tool really understood how each individual person best learns, if it could tailor the study material every day and decide the path through the CFA curriculum that one person should take, and if it could do it as efficiently as possible, not wasting time on concepts that you're already going to hopefully answer correctly on the exam, that would be probably the best educational service one could get. And the AI industry, of course, believes that a lot of AI tools are going to be the best version of whatever they do that we could possibly get. Of course, these programs bake in friendly little tools, just like some of the existing online test prep programs might have, which would be like study calendar, maybe a little glossary. I haven't used it yet myself, but I believe there's supposed to be a version of like a study buddy that, I don't know what you do with the study buddy. I don't think it's a text-based AI model, but just something that you could use to reference information. My feeling is that if this thing were to work well and start to take off, I think you'd see some sort of a race between Kaplan and Wiley, and then maybe even the CFA Institute in a lesser extent, but them as well. There may be a sort of a race to implement AI learning tools into their online test prep programs, because it would just beat reading a book or doing random practice questions every day of the week if it works like it's supposed to work. So let me know, again, if you've used any of these things before. Would you use it? Because you might see this starting to get adopted very, very quickly in the CFA space, if I had to guess. So as always, thanks for watching.